Good morning, folks. Today's topic is, it's inspired by two videos I seen earlier today on YouTube that reminded me of a topic I wanted to bring up on this video upon a time. That topic is furries and their influence on children and minors. Um, I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunate, but because of my background in art and the fandoms I was part of, I guess you could say, the things I took part of, I ended up finding my way into a sort of niche group of people, and while in it, I come across some things. So I sort of have an insider's perspective of certain things within this group. This is it's not my um, coming out story or nothing. I'm not ashamed of the art that I've made. Um, this is more so to acknowledge that there are things that most people don't realize are happening. A lot of older folks, a lot of parents, even people who are my age who are parents who may not have been part of the fandom or never ventured into that area. So I'll start off by saying how I got involved in it. How I got involved with the furry community. I only want know if I would call it that, but how I got involved with furries was so when I was 15, I got my first PC. Um, and AOL was the thing at the time, and AOL had a bunch of chat rooms. Now, if you went to the custom chat rooms, certain uh, categories had certain different types of interests. One of those interests was called literary roleplay. Now, some of y'all at home or whatever who never heard this before, we all hear roleplay. You might think something dirty, something illicit, something sexual, and it really wasn't that. What it is imagine your children playing with dolls, right? As kids, and they're playing with dolls, action figures. The difference with literary role play is you're writing out the actions of the action figure versus having a doll in your hand. So you're writing a story, more or less, with other players, and your part of the story is portraying what your character is doing. So I got involved in that when I was 15. I started off with Harry Potter. Harry Potter, Zelda, and Mortal Kombat. Eventually went to animes, Bleach, Naruto, and whatnot. But Naruto and Zelda were my real starters, and I drew most of my own stuff. There was a lot of people who used other people's artwork to portray their characters. Because I'm an artist, I drew my own stuff and just used them to portray my characters. And I will say there's pros and cons to roleplay. The cons being all your friends well, most of your friends, if not all, become these online people who you're just making fake stories with, versus having real life relations. So that's one bad thing. The good thing is my writing increased so much. Now, you may hear me when I speak and hear me stumble over some words here and there, but for the most part, when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I had more of a what you would call ghetto or hood accent or dialect. And if I'm excited, sometimes that slips right back out, yeah. But having to write constantly in these different circles, forums, and whatnot, I eventually I was forced to be literate when I write and type how I don't type how I talk, but type properly. And after years of doing that, it improved my overall English vocabulary. It also changed my vernacular. I don't speak as hood as I used to. I don't talk the slang that I used to. I may still have my accent, but it's not as, I don't know, street, I guess. Another plus side to it was that through role play, like, so now there's certain groups within, like I said, you had AOL, and they had custom chat rooms where they had different, and each chat room was a different type of group, right? So you might have one chat room that would have been Harry Potter role play. You might have had another one that was Lord of the Rings stuff. Another one might have been Zelda stuff. Now, some people would do what was called group storylines, where they gathered people together and they pitched in for this major plot. And for those group storylines, they often made websites to, I guess, archive or give a sort of a visual effect for people who may be interested in the storyline. And that's exactly how I got into graphic designs. I started making websites when I was 15. I started messing with AOL's FTP space at that time, and learned how to. Well, I didn't know how to code the URL, the HTML, but I knew how to use graphic designs and move things around on FTP space and rip the HTML out of that and place it where I needed to go. So during the time when MySpace was around, and MySpace was a social media app where you couldn't use HTML to code your page, I was able to use AOL's FTP space to make my own custom MySpace pages and links and whatnot, and then drag and drop those code layouts into the MySpace, and yeah, have my own page. It's pretty cool. But I'm getting off topic. It was in these groups, in these roleplay groups, where I came across furries. Um, it was this one person, and they were using a snow leopard, and the artist's name on the bottom was Dark Natasha. So I looked up, Googled Dark Natasha, and she was an artist who did a lot of furry art. Now, unfortunately, today, yeah, well, even back then, furries are what they're mostly known for is sexual things that have adult nature in them. Um, but that wasn't my draw towards it. My draw towards it was when I came across their art. I saw there were animal warriors. Like you had a polar bear warrior, you had tiger warriors, leopard warriors, jaguar warriors, and I thought that was brilliant. As far as character designs go, because I was always big on making my own characters. I never role played someone else's character. So even though I role played in maybe, for instance, a Harry Potter story, I never used one of the pre-established characters by J.K. Rowling. I would use my own custom character. And so when I looked at these anthros furries that Dark Natasha had drawn, and they were polar bear warriors, like I said, tiger warriors and whatnot, I thought that was cool. That what intriguing character concept that would be to have if you're doing some type of superhero or super villain design, have it animalistic. And in fairness, it's nothing that we haven't seen already. Yeah, you had SWAT cats, you had Street Sharks, the cartoon. Um, Disney has a bunch of, excuse me, movies and cartoons with talking animals in them. So a lot of media, a lot of our cartoons and whatnot played into what ended up being a fandom, and it's mostly people of my generation and the one just before that kind of birthed this sort of fandom in a way. Um, so when I got involved, my first was an orca, and I made him for comic relief. Now everyone had either a dog, a horse, or some kind of fox, but dogs and horses were your more popular ones. Unfortunately, the reason why they were popular wasn't for because people were just fans of dogs and wolves and horses, but because of masculine reasons, sexual reasons. And I already didn't like, as a teenager, that the constant topics being had by these people were just always that. It was always every joke ended up being devolved into a sexual joke. Every conversation, every topic that you have with these people will be devolved into something sexual. And you would think, well, if you're a teenager, chances are your hormones were raging. I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was experienced enough that I wasn't thirsty. So I want to write right. So whether people want to believe it or not, the whole constant sexualization of things kind of it got to me, and because of that, my original avatar, my original character was an orca. I wanted something that wasn't what everyone else was doing. It wasn't a horse, it wasn't a dog, it wasn't any of that. And then when I introduced him, it was in a Naruto roleplay. So the idea was, it was like I said, comedic relief, satire. It's an 8'8" orca anthro, orca furry, whatever you want to call him, who's supposed to be a ninja. It's a juxtaposed position. The guy is gigantic and is like huge, and he wants to blend in and be a ninja. It's not gonna work. But that was the point. And so from that, that was my original. Still drew him up until I think my last drawing of him was 2016. But that was my introduction into the furry community. And over the years, I had a love hate relationship with it. A lot of it mostly because of the sexualization, because I would want to make like group storylines and whatnot. I would make websites and try to gather people together who want to do group storylines of furries. And oftentimes people will always say it's not going to work. It's not going to work. People in the furry community, they always devolve into sex. You're not going to get any story out of them because they all just want to hook up. And I didn't want to believe them, but every time I tried to make one, that's exactly what would happen. People who were signing up really just want to have like these little cyber sex sessions with each other. And I actually want to put together some kind of role play story, like the Zootopia before Zootopia was a movie in a way, you know. Um, Eventually, I branched off into other forms of social media, other chat rooms, art profiles, and whatnot. And it was there where I realized that I'm really not a furry. I may draw it and I may role play them from time to time, or I may have, but I'm not what the furry community is. I don't have any fursuits. I don't want a fursuit. Um, I don't own any animalistic dildos, nor do I want one. I never partook in any of their fandoms. I don't go to any conventions. I don't want to be in any conventions. I don't want any ties to people who have nothing but, you know, those perverse ideas that they allow them have. But nevertheless, I still tried. When I first got involved and had my first art portfolio, I was trying to make money off of it. So I was willing to draw. I was trying to take commissions and, you know, draw what people were asking for. Did a lot of my own custom stuff as well, but a lot of it was me trying to do commissions. And the furry community is mostly dominated by gay men. And it was then that I realized that um, I would get a lot of commissioners who, well, now I don't want to say a lot. It wasn't that many, but the ones I did get mostly were guys, and they want to see gay art. Now, I don't have anything against gays, or I don't have any hate, but it's not really something I want to draw. But because I want the money and I want to get some kind of type of recognition, I said sure. I also noticed that, I mean, the profiles that got noticed in these communities weren't the people who were just drawing, you know, warrior anthros like I was drawing. They were people who were drawing sexualized things. If you didn't have at least a dick or two every other picture that you were uploading, you weren't getting views. So I'm not gonna lie, I sort of played into certain narratives if just because I want to get the views, I want to get the hits, I want people to come to me for commissions. But where I had my issues was whenever I started drawing women, I would get ripped on. The furries did not like. Maybe now, if you get a dick girl, and the attitude might have changed. But when I started, they weren't very friendly about it. A lot of my viewers, a lot of my people who watched me or followed me, they stopped following me because they didn't like that I was drawing female bodies and whatever. Um, Hold on a second. But there was so where this um plays into what's happening with kids. A lot of parents don't realize how much is really on the internet. Whether it's apps, websites, video games, whatever, there's so much on the internet. And there's it's the access, the information that's there. It's all over the place. And furries are they're the new wave, man. People don't see it coming, but it's the new wave. That whole LGBTQIAA, whatever, furries are gonna be part of it. They're gonna add themselves to it because a lot of them are very big promoters of that. And that's another area where I realize I'm really not much of a furry because even though I draw them, a lot of my values, my beliefs, my morals don't line up with theirs. Um, I'm not anti-LGBT, but I'm not pro it either. I'm not hoorahing it like they do. I'm not championing it. Um, but there's also they play a slippery slope. There in those communities you have what's called, you know what a kink is. They have kinks, they have fetishes, and granted, for some of them it may just be artistic stuff. It may just be literary stuff. For instance, I'm not the only role player that there is. There's other people who role play, and they all role play different things. My go tos were always warrior stories or post apocalyptic stories or some situation where, I don't know, it's people who are starting off in a brand new world where there's no one else. Whereas their stories, generally, if I was to show you the roleplay ads of your average F list chat room, you would vomit because they're horrible. They're really, really perverse. They're disgusting. And a lot of it offers or asks for what's called age play. Age play being story styles in which a child is involved, at least one. It could be a child with an adult or a child with another child, but a child is involved. There's artwork of it. There's a lot of it, not just artwork of kids, but artwork of naked kids, artwork of naked kids doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Now, I would like to see these things taken down. I would like to see such websites remove such people, but because they're just drawings, they're just artwork, this doesn't count as real. So there's, I guess, no crime is being committed, right? But I don't know, I find it's really uncomfortable because, like, so it's not the only community I'm involved with. When you're in the online community, there's a lot of circles within. I ended up being part of what's called Open Sim. Open Sim is a free version of Second Life. In Open Sim, people there aren't very friendly with child avatars. Most everyone there is an adult. You're not allowed to play Open Sim if you're not an adult. And if you go to a lot of regular Sims in Open Sim with the childlike avatar, a lot of people will leave or you'll get banned or you'll get kicked out because people get uncomfortable with it. Even if you're not up to no good or if they're not up to no good, they just don't want to put themselves in a position to be associated with it, right? So if it's a whole public event and there's like 40 people in there and one of those people is a child, now one person might do something with another person, the other 38 might be, tagged into it and they don't want nothing to do with it. So certain communities already understand, yeah, we don't, this is Adult Swim only, this is a no kitty spot. The furry community isn't necessarily like that. The furry community is, they want to, sort of like indoctrination in that they want to accept all. If you're a furry, go ahead and be a furry. And I get it to some degree. I'll never tell you to not like what you like, as far as hobbies, interests. But if your likes go in down dark, perverse, illegal areas, I'm not gonna. I will judge you for that. If your likes are age play and drawings of kids doing weird, yeah, I will judge you for that. Those aren't likes I would say pursue. But otherwise, if you want to dress up as a tiger girl with purple stripes and whatnot and go to conventions, I have nothing against it. I'm not gonna judge you for that. But there are a lot of communities within the furry community because the furry community is one big thing, but then there's a lot of different networks within it. Yeah, and not that they intermingle with each other or that they even know each other, but they're there. And in those communities, you come across, unfortunately, both ages. There's an app called eFur. eFur is sort of like a social media. Well, it's a social media app. It's a conversation for furries. And you'd be surprised how many kids are on such apps. How many kids on such apps are, and adults as well, are saying, go to school, dress up as your furry self, and if anyone has a problem with you, take a hammer to their head. There's quite a few posts just like that, and I've been trying to get the word out there to anyone that wouldn't hear, whether it's Steven Crowder or Joe Rogan or anyone, because no one's paying attention to any of it. But it's there and it's perverse and it's only getting worse. So what sparked me making this video was a video I came across was it was about VR chat. Now I don't have VR chat. I don't have any of those headset stuff. But apparently in the VR chat, there's a lot of furry creatures and people who dress up as furries. I probably wouldn't, even if I had a VR chat, I probably wouldn't be one of those people. Well, I would probably dress my avatar as a furry, but unless it's one I designed, I'm not. That's always who I've been. I don't like wearing other people's creations. I hate wearing other people's creations. I like custom creations. So, and either way, so in this VR chat, this guy was investigating some dude who, I guess the guy was like 34, 35, and 34, 35-year old was apparently targeting kids. I forgot what his name was. It's some kind of Kitsune Soul or Kitsune Cell. I think it's Kitsune Cell. Um, and apparently this guy was targeting kids in the VR chat and having them do things. These people exist, and unfortunately, a lot of people within the furry community are sick in the head like that. A lot of people in the furry community didn't join because, like me, they just enjoy art and want to draw something that was spectacular. A lot of people in the furry community aren't artists. They don't draw. They just like the art. They like the sex toys. They like the costumes. Um, they like the fantasy that the furry community provides, that the roleplay community provides. Because in roleplay, you can get away with anything. You could write up a story about rape, molestation, all those things, and no one's you're not going to be locked away for it. Because it's just it's a story, right? It's fake. 'Cause no one really got hurt. But to the point in which they glorify it, obviously, then at this point they reach out to kids. They have no problem trying to, if you're in a group or whatever, and a child walks into that group, they have no problem saying, "Hey, you might be a furry. Maybe try it." Something. Y'all gotta be careful, man. Y'all gotta be careful. I'm telling you this as an insider. I be in these groups. They don't know who I am. They have no idea who I really am. Not that I'm sitting back spying, but when I go into these groups, I'm rapidly reminded as to why I can't stand these groups, as to why I only draw the characters and that's it. Ooh, I got a squirrel over there. Anyways, um, y'all people who got kids and whatnot, teenagers, children, toddlers, whatever. Be careful with your kids. Be careful what they're looking at on the internet. If your child says that they are furry, ask them about it. Ask them how they found out about furries. Really, really discuss it with them. What do you know about furries? Who told you about them? What makes you think that you're one? Truly get into, ask them. Um, you may get pushed back. I don't know how your child's gonna behave, but this is not something to take lightly. Um, there's kids who are being targeted by these people. I literally just watched two videos where different kids were being harassed by one guy, and because it's in VR chat and it's all online and people got VPNs now, there's no way of really, going after someone. How do you go after someone online when the VPN just blocked their identity? At, Unfortunately, the only thing you can do is be vigilant for yourself and your own kids. Um, and that's the unfortunate part is I don't mean this to make all furries look bad. It's probably what is to me is probably what this whole trans agenda is to other LGBT people, gays and lesbians who are not part of whatever these people are pushing today. There's probably people like me who are the furries who draw stuff who are not liking the direction that things are going. That there's all this age play, that there's all this targeting of kids. That it yeah, um, it makes it all look bad. It places a huge and ugly stigmatism on it, and I gotta wonder, are people wrong? You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people. All the stigmatisms that follow the furry community, I'm not them. So I can say it for myself, I'm not them. But if a lot of them are doing that, are people wrong for placing those stigmatisms on them? I don't know. But yeah, that's my take on it so far. If people have any questions about it, you're welcome to leave a comment, and if I can, I will address the comments in another video. Um, if you have questions pertaining towards me, my character, my furs, whatever I did to writing, or what information I know, what information I may have pertaining to certain websites or who to look out for, I could try to help. Um, but yeah, leave a comment and I'll try to address your messages in the next video. Peace.